for the family and friends of this woman to keep her in hiding. And I believe, actually, that they took her away from Jerusalem. They would have taken her to a place of safety.
The locals in Provence say there was a child with the group, a dark-skinned teenager named Sarah. She is said to have ridden on a horse around the countryside here, curing sick children. But the legend says she was an Egyptian servant and not the child of Mary Magdalene.
Oh, sacrilege.
Oh, sacrilege, sacrilege. Because it's not nice to say things like that about Jesus. Jesus was never married to anybody. But nobody knows what happened to Sarah. They say she simply vanished, like the Holy Grail, which goes missing in many of the legends. And the earliest versions of the Grail story are not about King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. One talks about a group of knights called Templars, thought to be modeled on the Knights Templar, who were real Crusader knights in the 12th century. These are, or were, some of them.
If you look at what the Grail romances tell us about the Templars, they were referred to as the guardians of the Grail and the Grail family.
In 1982, Henry Lincoln and two colleagues wrote a controversial book suggesting that the Grail family were French nobles descended from Jesus and Mary Magdalene. Lincoln's book is a key source for the claims that appear in the Da Vinci Code saying that Mary Magdalene and this bloodline are the Holy Grail. Henry Lincoln based many of his ideas on those strange secret documents in the French National Library. They included an elaborate family tree which went all the way back to monarchs who ruled in the south of France in the generations after Mary Magdalene and Jesus lived, the Merovingian kings. Lincoln says he looked into the Merovingians and it all became clear, at least to him.
The Merovingians have a very strange story in relation to their origin. The first king, Merove, his mother was impregnated by a sea creature, a fish. One of the earliest symbols for Jesus was fish.
So let me first try and summarize.
Yeah.
The first Merovingian queen was impregnated by a creature from the sea, the fish, which you theorize could symbolize Jesus. So the Merovingian royal bloodline would be descendants of Jesus. And this bloodline was threatened by the Orthodox Church, and the Priory of Zion was established to protect the descendants of this royal bloodline, the Merovingian bloodline.
Beautiful. That's very clever. You've done it.
That's it.
You've done it.
Now, of course, he's right. One of the earliest symbols of Jesus was this drawing of a fish. So the whole theory about a bloodline of Jesus in the south of France is based on this. Why not just say Mary Magdalene impregnated by Jesus?
That is not the way that our orthodoxy would have it. You can't have a married Jesus.
It was too dangerous to tell.
Anything that runs counter to orthodoxy has always been dangerous. The church has always reacted with violence. Think of the Inquisition.
Okay. To leave no stone unturned, we decided to look at the names on the Merovingian family tree, the one that appeared in the secret documents. One of the names that shows up throughout is an old French family called St. Clair. That family is also mentioned in the book The Da Vinci Code. We located two Scottish nobles living in London who claimed to be from a branch of this family, the Sinclairs.
So what was your reaction when you found out that you were being called one of the descendants of Jesus and Mary Magdalene?
No, that didn't affect me in any way whatsoever.
You don't feel...
I certainly haven't been going around looking for a second-hand halo, if that's what you mean.
Niven Sinclair alleges that the bloodline of Jesus and Mary Magdalene does exist.
Your family married into Jesus' bloodline.
Well, by the time it gets to me, it'll be very, very, very diluted.
A Sinclair ancestor, William Sinclair, built this famous church in Scotland, often referred to as the Chapel of the Grail that appears in the legends of King Arthur, Rosslyn Chapel. Niven Sinclair's distant cousin, Andrew, is the family genealogist. He is more of a skeptic.
there's no proof that actually this is the bloodline of Mary Magdalene and Jesus.
We interviewed a number of scholars who specialized in medieval history and Grail mythology. The vast majority told us that the Knights Templar had no particular connection to Mary Magdalene, and that there was no proof any Priory of Zion ever existed.
The idea of the story of Jesus as married with Mary Magdalene, it was concocted probably at the mid of the 19th century.
Umberto Eco, who has researched the story, has an entire room in his home that he calls his library of books about wrong theories, including books saying the earth is flat. He puts the whole theory about the Holy Grail being Mary Magdalene into this category. He thinks the Grail is simply a fairy tale.
The Holy Grail is born as a literary invention.
It's a literary invention.
The historical reality of the Holy Grail is the same than the reality of Pinocchio, a little Red Riding Hood.
Our attempt to unravel the legends and stories in the south of France had been a strange detour. We found no evidence that there was ever a child of Jesus and Mary Magdalene. But some scholars say there is more serious evidence about the role Mary Magdalene may have played in the life of Jesus. When we come back, the secret gospels hidden in Egypt for centuries. Do they tell us anything about the relationship between Jesus and Mary Magdalene? If you look at the Christian Bible, it's clear there are large holes in the stories we have about the life of Jesus. The church chose the four Gospels that tell his story in the New Testament, but there were other stories written about Jesus. Other Gospels so controversial the church ordered them destroyed. And they were, except for one set of copies. And it remained hidden in Egypt until about 50 years ago.
The Nag Hammadi scrolls, which essentially tell what you might call an alternative history of the time of Jesus and Mary Magdalene, the church made a very concerted effort to take these documents and destroy them throughout time.
Historians think these documents were originally hidden by a monk from a nearby monastery in the late 4th century. At the same time, they were ordered destroyed by the Bishop of Alexandria.